Namaste and welcome back to the JavaScript series. Today, my dear friends, I'm going to discuss an extremely important concept called as HTTP and HTTP methods. Without understanding HTTP and HTTP methods, proceeding with this JavaScript course and understanding concepts of the future becomes very, very difficult. Now, before I directly deep dive and explain what is the meaning of HTTP technically, let's take a non-technical example. Imagine a scenario where you are working in an IT company. Your team has a total of 5 members, including you. Now, the other 4 members in your team, one person is from Spain, another is from Germany, another is from France, another is probably from USA, right? So now you have a multinational team. You have a mix and match of different cultures and traditions. Now, when you go and start working in your team, let us assume you wanted to communicate with them. Suddenly, you realize that the Chinese person only speaks in Chinese. The Spanish person speaks in Spanish. The person from Germany is only communicating in German, and the person from France is talking in French. Now, tell me, how will you communicate with your team? How will you work with each other? Because to work with each other and get a task done, first you are supposed to be able to communicate with each other. Yes? And hence, your entire team is going to be frustrated with each other and it is going to be chaos. Now, what is the solution for this imaginary situation I told you? The solution is very simple. Because different people have different mother tongues or come from different nationalities, all of you should now decide upon communicating using one common language. Probably in this case, that language is going to be English. Now, when everybody decides that we will communicate in English, now communication is possible, misunderstandings don't happen, and finally, you're able to get work done. Now, you may wonder, what does this have to do with whatever concept we are learning? Let's take an example. Let us assume there is a server or a computer inside which we have Instagram running. Let us assume we have a server inside which we have Zoom running. Let us assume there is another server inside which you have Google, and there is another server inside which you have Amazon. Now, each of these are different computers. On the other end, there is you. And you, my friend, have your own computer inside which you have a browser through which you want to communicate with these computers, right? And how will you communicate? You will communicate via the internet, right? Now, please try to understand, if via the internet, you want to communicate with these computers, you want to ask information from these computers, you want to get information from them, you want to put information inside them, then please try to understand, it is not possible because just like your company, each computer is different, each server is different, each application is different. The hardware that is used is different. The operating system is different. The programming languages used to build each of these systems are different. And similarly, your computer also, the hardware, the operating system and the software is different. Now, when there's so much of difference, how will communication happen? They will never understand each other, right? Just like how you could not talk to your colleagues in the company because everyone spoke a different language. And hence, what happened was they decided to create a common language of communication when two computers want to communicate with each other via the internet. This common language of communication, or the common steps that every computer follows to communicate with each other via the internet, or what is also known as protocol, is only today referred to as HTTP, or Hypertext Transfer Protocol. In simple words, HTTP is a communication protocol which computers use to communicate with each other via the internet, so that irrespective of which hardware, which software, which OS, which programming language these computers are built on or are using, they can still communicate with each other. Now, my friend, please try to understand. We understood that one computer, which the user is using, via the internet, if it wants to communicate with a server, right? 100% they're going to use the HTTP protocol. Great. But please try to understand, whenever one computer interacts with another computer, now this computer may want to fetch some information from this server, may want to put some information into this server, may want to update some information, may want to partially update some information, or may want to delete something within the server. So you may want to fetch, you may want to put, you may want to update, you may want to partially update, you may want to delete something. Now, how using HTTP protocol are you going to be able to communicate what action you want to perform? Well, that's very simple. For that, we are going to make use of something called as the HTTP methods. Now, we have a method called as get, using which you can retrieve information. We have a method called as post, using which you can create something new on the server. We have something called as put, using which you can update something completely. We have something called as patch, through which you can partially update information. And of course, as the name suggests, we have delete, using which you can delete something within the server. Now, knowledge of HTTP methods is what is critical if you want to do web development, if you want to build web applications. And that is what we are going to learn by making use of the fetch API. So the fetch API with these HTTP methods is what is going to unlock the next level of knowledge for you. All right, let's understand the HTTP methods with practical examples. All right. So now, first and foremost, I will go here and I will be calling my fetch API. Okay. Now, please try to understand this fetch API actually always takes two parameters. I always showed you only one parameter, but it actually takes two parameters. One is the URL of the server, the URL of the API endpoint which you want to communicate with. And the second one is actually called as an options object. This I never showed you, but today I'm going to show you. Now this URL, for example, let us assume, just like the previous videos, I wanted to fetch a cat fact using the cat facts API, right? Now within double quotes, I'll just go and I will paste that URL. This is only that API endpoint, which will give you one fact. But please try to understand that what is this options? This options is an object. And you know, this is the JavaScript object notation. Now, inside this, you can give a lot of information, but the first information you need to give is that when you are communicating with the server of cat facts, what do you want to do? Do you want to fetch information? Do you want to put information, update or delete? In this case, clearly I want to retrieve a cat fact, and that is done using an HTTP method called as get. It is used using an HTTP method called as get. Am I clear? So here we need to say get like this. Is this much clear to each and every one of you? As a matter of fact, here you don't even have to give something like this, you know. Just you tell method is get. It's a JavaScript object. Clear to clear? Key value pairs. Now if I tell get, server knows that what you want to do is get. It will fetch. But Rohit, last class we had not given this. No problem. If you don't give it, also this is by default put. Automatically method is always get. And now I think this I don't have to explain. I will go here and I will say await because it's an asynchronous operation. It's going to take some time. Next, whatever it is going to get back for me, I will just store it inside something called as data, right? Now, you know that this will actually be a JSON in which all your data will be in an encrypted format. I've already explained all this in the previous class. So what I will do is I will now convert this into my JSON, like for a JavaScript object format like this. And to convert this also will take some time. So this is again an asynchronous operation. Whatever I get, I will store it inside. For example, I'll call it as text. And in the next line, I will just print this by telling console.log. And if I print this text out for you, clearly you guys can now notice you have got, okay, so this is not supposed to be capital. This is data dot, you have JSON, sorry, So this, as you can see, is all small letters. That was a typing mistake. Okay. Now if I clear this and if I execute it, 100% you got a cat fact. Am I clear? So if this much, clarity all of you have got, now I want to show you the other methods. Now let us assume I want to put something into a server. I want to put something into a server, in which case the method has to be post, right? So basically, how we are going to use the post method is what I'm going to show you. But before that, we cannot be making use of this catfact API, because catfact API is only going to allow us to get information, because the person who created the application and gave us the APIs has decided you can only retrieve information. You can't really add anything into the server. So we have to look for other API options, and most certainly, my friend, there are multiple other API options as well. Let me show you. One of this is this. Understood? Now here, what is the name of this? It's called as REST API ready to use. Now how, if you want to search for this, you can just go here and say REST API free. Now what is REST API and all? You can forget about it. Not free code camp. Free. Now you will get this first link. I'll click here. Now what is a REST API? What is meant by a RESTful API? All this we will discuss later. But essentially what I wanted to show you is these guys also give us different APIs. Do you have get, two options, three options. You have post, you have put, you have patch, you have delete. So it's perfect for us to understand. Right? So if in case you were to use, for example, their get, right? So this is what you will have to use. This is your URL. So if I were to just copy this, if I were to go back probably to my editor, and if I were to just replace this, now you can notice I have literally got different objects. So ID 1, Google Pixel 6 Pro, data, color is this, capacity is this. Then I got one more ID 2, name is Apple iPhone 12 mini. That I've got information about phones. So that is what they have stored, right? So definitely get works. So now if I go here, I don't want to show you get, I want to be showing you post. So you have understood this. So now if I go here and if I click on post, now it is saying this is the URL that you're supposed to use. So I will copy this. I will copy this. I will come back to my editor, and now here I'm going to replace this. And I will say I've replaced this. Okay. So have I copied it correctly? Yeah. Right. Now the method can't be get. Now the method has to be post, because I want to insert something. Now the question is, what are you going to insert? I want to insert information about a brand new phone. Brand new phone I should insert. Now the website itself has told us on what is the format that you need to do insertion in. If you notice carefully, it is telling this is how you need to send the request. And in the request, let me try to increase this a little bit more for you so you can see. So you should give it as a object, JavaScript object, JSON format. And in JSON, you know, key value pairs, key will also be string, value will also be a string. So you can clearly see name, you can give whichever is the name you want to give. Data, again, as another object, you can give key value pairs, whatever year, price, CPU model, hard disk. But this is what you need to give. Now, how can I take this JSON and via fetch post it to the server? That is the question. And that is where, my dear friend, this options object comes into the picture. There is a certain syntax of this options object, which I would want all of you to understand. So what I'm going to do here is, let me just remove this. Some extra thing has come here. Yeah, I'll just reduce the size a little bit. Now, I'm bringing the syntax of this. All of you should understand how you're supposed to give. So first of all, try to understand whenever a computer is interacting with the server. In my case, my computer, right, where this code is there, this is interacting with the server that is given by this RESTful API website, right? Now, please try to understand, from my computer, when I send data, yes, it will follow HTTP protocol. That is how they will interact with each other. Yes, in HTTP protocol, it will be making use of a method called as post because I'm trying to insert data. But along with this post, I need to also send the data. Now, how is this data sent? This data is sent using something called as a request object. It is sent using something called as a request object. Now, what is this request object? I will show you. But before that, let me just split this into two lines so there is no overlap. This is the general syntax of my request object. This is what is sent to the server. So, this request object will have three parts. One part is the method. Now, this method can be get, can be post, can be put, can be patch, can be delete. In my case now, the method is nothing but post. The next section is something called as the header section. Now, in this header section, a lot of information is given, such as content type and its value, accept and its value, authorization and its value, user agent and its value. Now, you may ask, what will be there in this content type? You may ask, right? What will be there in this content type? Now, please try to understand, in this content type, you have to now tell what type of data you are sending. What type of data you are sending. And what am I sending? I am going to send a JSON object. I'm going to send JSON. So, here the value will be something like application/JSON. Application/JSON. Basically, you're telling that what are you sending? JSON. Similarly, the next one is accept. Now, you should tell what is the format in which you want to accept data. Now, the server will send you data. Now, server can send you data in different ways. But what is the way you want it? You want it in the form of JSON. You want it in the form of JSON. So, the same thing, again, I will send it here. I will be copying it here. Right? So, same thing, I will just put. So, please try to understand, you are also sending it JSON. You also want back JSON. And ultimately, I've told you, most of the information between two computers is transferred via JSON. And I've made a beautiful video about JSON. If you have not watched it, go and watch it. Next, authorization. Now, please try to understand, when two computers are interacting with each other, some computers will allow anybody to interact with it. No security, nothing. But few computers, few servers will only allow registered users, authorized users. Correct or not? Now, please try to understand, should Instagram allow anybody to fetch your photos? No. It should only allow you to fetch your photos. How will it know it is you? Only if you have signed in. You put your username or your mobile number or your password and you're authorized. You're the genuine right user. And that is what comes here in authorization. Usually here in authorization, you will have your username, which in short I'm calling as username. You will have your password. All of this will be encrypted format. You can't read it. It will be some jumbled up numbers. Usually, we use something called as JWT for this. Now, what is JWT, etc.? We will look at it later, but this is the concept. Next, you'll have something called as user agent, where you'll have information about your computer, because server wants to know which computer is interacting with it. So usually here, you'll have information about which browser it is. You'll have information about which operating system it is. You'll have information about which device it is. It could be an iPhone, it could be an Android phone, it could be a MacBook, like that, all that information will be there. User agent. And finally, the last section is the body, in which the actual data is sent. And what is the actual data in our case? The actual data in our case that we will be sending is this. This is the actual data. Where I want to send a JSON, inside which I have name, then I have data, year, price, CPU, hard disk, all that. This data. But this data, this JSON, which is what I'm showing you here, this JSON should be in the form of string. So I'm putting it within double quotes. It should be in the form of a string. It's JSON only, but the entire JSON should be a string. How do you convert the entire JSON into string? I'll show you. Don't worry about all this. But that is the case. Ultimately JSON. So you will send JSON, you will receive back JSON. Am I clear? Is this much clear to each and every one of you? So now this is what I'm going to be converting and showing to you. So let me just reduce the size of this. Cool. Let it be there. Now I will come here. And here, my friend, I want to start by showing you all of these things. Okay. So now watch it. Let me just bring this back. This comma here, I'll just press enter so you can see it better. Now, method is basically obviously post, and also now I'm going to start with the other part of it. Okay. So let's watch it and try to understand how I'm going to start. So now here I will go and basically press enter here so that you can see it clearly. This is basically a JavaScript object, correct? Now here I will put a comma, and the next piece of information I want to be sending is, for example, the headers. And in headers, you will have content type, accept, all of that, right? So try to understand here in headers, this is the value. The value is going to be another object because it's going to be a collection of information. And the first piece of information that I want to give is what is the content type. And please try to understand, here I will go and tell boss, the content type that I am going to send is nothing but JSON. Clear to clear? Okay. Next, comma. I will now say the next one. What is the type of content I would like to accept? The type of content which I would like to accept, again, my friend, is JSON only. Clear to clear? Next, if there was any authorization, any username password required, I would have given authorization, but I don't need any authorization, so I will not even write it. And the next one that I would require is, for example, the user agent, what is the system I'm using, etc. And that also I will leave empty, not required. I don't want to tell which browser, which application, but if needed, you can send that also. Clear? You can also, servers are designed in such a way that when you send a request, it will automatically ensure that it fetches this information from your browser and it packs it and sends. So sometimes you don't have to give it. Automatically, it is fetched. Great. So this much is more than enough for me. As you can see, this is my headers. Clear to clear? After which, the most important part here, my friend, is my body. So see, I'll come put a comma here, and now I will go here and I will tell my body. And in my body, now I need to give my JSON, right? And what is the JSON that I want to give? Let us assume this is the JSON which I want to give. So which I will just take you here. Let's use the same example, whatever they've given here. I'll copy this. Okay. Now I'll come back here, and this is the JSON which I want to give. Am I clear to clear? This is the JSON I want to give. But this JSON should be in the form of a string. So what I will do is, instead of giving it like this, I will just go here and I will just create one variable. I'll call it as exmp, and inside that I will just paste this. This is my JSON. Now I will go here and I will say in body, watch this, all of you, try to understand. Now what I will essentially do here is, I'll just go inside body and I will tell JSON dot, and there is a function called as stringify. To stringify, I will now pass this exmp, which is nothing but this JSON. So what it will do is, it will take my JSON and put it basically into double quotes. It will convert it into a string. That's it. Clear to clear? So now all of you should understand this code. I'm calling fetch. This is the URL or the API endpoint I want to communicate to. Next, in my options object, I have given the method, which is post. I have given the header information, which I've given content type of the content I'm sending, the type of the content I will accept. Next, I'm also sending the data, which is given in the body, in which I'm giving JSON, converting it into a string. That's about it. And then what I will wait in an asynchronous manner, whatever the server returns, I'll collect it in data. That data I will be converting it from the raw encoded format into a proper JavaScript object, and I'm storing it inside this text, which I'm just printing. Understood? Now, let's try to see what is the response which the server will give us. Will this even work? So I'll go here. This is the previous output. Let me just clear it. Was this? Now if I were to execute, it is telling await is only valid inside asynchronous function. Okay, no problem. So what we can essentially do here is, so now in this case, I will just cut all of this. I will put this inside a function called as, let's call it as test REST API, something like that. Inside this, I will paste all of this. Next, whenever inside a function we have await, it must be mentioned as asynchronous function. Next, I'll just go and I will directly call it as test REST API like this. And now if in case I were to execute, now it is telling that unexpected token JSON.stringify. Correct. I should not be putting this semicolon here. Not required. Now I will go here, clear this, and I will execute. In which case you can see it is telling, boss, I have successfully inserted this. Whatever you sent, it is telling this is the ID that I've given, again encrypted. Name was this. Timestamp, it was created at this time. And this is the data I have stored. Is this much clear to you? So this is the response from the server saying, yes, I have stored it. And how it says, yes, it was stored is see, what I will do here is, I will also just print the raw data which it sent me before converting it into proper JavaScript object style, right? Now see if I were to execute, and now what it is telling is, this is the actual response from which I have just fetched something and shown you, right? The actual response is saying status 200. This is called a status code. There are different status codes which servers will communicate to you. 200 means everything was okay. 404 means not found. Like that, if there is an error, there will be a different, status code. If there was a problem, there will be a different status code. If there was a failure, there will be a different status code. 201 means success. Status okay. And see, it has also sent me a header in which it has given me the date, in which it has given me content type, it has given me some encoding, it has given me some connection, it has given me some server, which is Cloudflare, and then it has given me some encrypted data. This I have converted and shown it to you, which is what now if you go down, I have basically converted into this. This is what this line does. So I hope you understood how you can be using these HTTP methods. Similarly, if I were to go here now to this particular file, now see, if I take you to the browser, similarly, you have something called as put, in which you can update the object that you sent. So there you have to, this is what you need to send, right? Whatever changes you have done here, those changes will reflect and it will send you a response. And it will tell you updated at. I'm not going to show all of this. I want you to try it out. Everything, if I spoon feed you, what will you learn? Similarly, if you notice, if I come to patch, partially update. See, now if you just send name, Only that name will get changed and it will send you back the response. Everything else will remain the same. Try it out. Next, similarly, if I go to delete, that's it. You just have to send the ID of the object. It will delete it for you. You can clearly see / you give the ID. That's all. Automatically it will message and say that this has been deleted, and we can always try this out. So watch it. If I go here now and I take you to my editor, there, see, now I'm just replacing this. Okay. Next, method should not be post. Method has to be delete. And really, I don't need these headers. I don't need this body because, boss, I'm really not sending anything. I'm not sending anything, right? I don't need any data. I'm just basically just sending you. The method is delete. Here only I've passed what is the ID. Based on that, deletion will happen. If I go here, clear the screen, and if I execute, you can see 6 is a reserved ID. Okay, 6 I'm not able to delete. Let's try something else, probably 9. Now if I clear, 9 is a reserved ID. You can create your own new object via post and try to send a delete request with new generated object. So basically, it will not let me delete random IDs. First, I have to put whatever I put only I can delete. So whatever ID it returned of whatever I put, that same ID if I give, it will delete. I want you to try all this out. And only if you try, you will learn. But I hope through this particular class, you understood HTTP, you understood HTTP methods, you understood about that request object and the different content which is there. All of this we can be using. And the best thing that you must understand is, today we are living in the world of AI. Learning syntax, by-hearting syntax, as a matter of fact, even typing code is one of the worst decisions you will do. Because very soon in the future, you will not be writing a single line of code. AI will write the code, you will be reading code. Today what is happening? People are writing more code, reading less code. In the future, they will only be reading code, writing very little code, so much so that 99% will be reading, 1% will be writing. And remembering syntax is pointless. Conceptual understanding is important. System design principles are important. Anyways, this is only for people who have made it till the end, because the average view time of my videos I see is 2.5 minutes. I don't know what people are learning in 2.5 minutes. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. And if you really like the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. It means a lot to us. I will catch you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.